In the UK, you can't vote for the King. You can't vote for the House of Lords. You can't choose the Prime Minister. You can influence 0.15% of Parliament. But we live in a democracy. Let's break this down. So this is Reason Against, a channel about philosophy where we analyse ideas through reason and evidence. Let's take a look at the UK political system and see how democratic it is. So the UK is a constitutional monarchy, but the monarchy generally stays out of politics. It's mostly ceremonial at this point. We're told that we have a democracy because we have elections and the people are represented. But how true really is this? So in the UK we have three branches. We have the House of Commons, the House of Lords and the monarch. So the House of Commons is 650 members of Parliament who are voted in general elections. The House of Lords, who are generally chosen and appointed by the King. They're chosen by the Prime Minister. Once they're appointed, they're there for life until they die or they retire, and it's almost impossible to remove them once they're there. And then we have the monarch, the King or the Queen. That means that only 1/3 of our government is elected, which isn't a good start. And of that 1/3 of the government, so you get to influence 0.15% of 1/3 of the government. Very democratic, right? Then we have the Prime Minister, who is the leader of the country and the person who forms a government. Can we choose him? Well, no. He is chosen by the ruling party, and the ruling party is the party with the majority in the House of Commons. What are parties? They're basically private organisations that organise candidates and elections and generally have a party message, such as being right-wing or left-wing or being green for the environment. But they're basically just private organisations. So unless you're actually in the constituency where the Prime Minister himself is running for Parliament, you can't directly vote for them. They are voted for inside the parties. Another problem is the fact that they can actually switch Prime Minister whenever they want without any elections. Margaret Thatcher was replaced by John Major. Tony Blair was replaced by Gordon Brown. David Cameron was replaced by Theresa May. None of these had elections. And if you're dreaming of becoming Prime Minister yourself, I have a shortcut for you. Go to Oxford University. Keir Starmer went to Oxford. Rishi Sunak went to Oxford. Liz Truss went to Oxford. David Cameron went to Oxford. Margaret Thatcher went to Oxford. Tony Blair went to Oxford. Since World War II, only 3 Prime Ministers haven't gone to Oxford University. But anyone can become Prime Minister, I promise. In reality, the truth is, anyone can become Prime Minister as long as you go to Oxford University and get pre-approved by Labour or Conservative. So let's be clear, the average voter has almost no power to influence our government. They can't choose the King, they can't choose the House of Lords, they can vote for one member of Parliament from their local area, which is again 0.15% of 1/3 of the government. Is this really democracy? Is this the best we can do? And to show how locked down the system really is, let's look at some underdog winners of elections in other countries. Volodymyr Zelensky, a comedian, ran for president of Ukraine in 2019 with a brand new party called Servant of the People, named after his TV show. Against all odds, he beat establishment politicians Petro Poroshenko and Yulia Tymoshenko, winning 73% in the runoff. People voted for him because they were sick of the political elite. Javier Milei, a libertarian economist in Argentina, was seen as a radical sideshow. He literally carried a chainsaw to rallies to symbolize cutting government spending. The media laughed at him. Then he became the president. These wins happened because the people became fed up of the status quo, and the system actually allowed you to vote for an underdog candidate. Now, how possible is this in the UK? Well, it's almost entirely impossible. Here's why. In the UK, you do not run for Prime Minister. It's literally impossible to run for Prime Minister. What you do is you run for one seat in Parliament. If you win, congratulations, you're 1/650th of Parliament. How do you become Prime Minister? Well, if you're an independent and don't have a party, then you have to convince the majority of members of Parliament to accept you and support you as Prime Minister. If you're an underdog and not in the system, no one will ever do this. The alternative is to make your own party. But then it's not just you that's running. You have to run also 325 candidates in your party and win all of those seats to even have a chance of becoming Prime Minister. How likely is this for a party someone just created? Elections in the UK aren't simply one vote for Prime Minister, they are 650 votes simultaneously across the whole country. This system entirely benefits the big parties, Conservative and Labour, and they always win. If Conservative don't win, Labour win. If Labour don't win, Conservative win. It's built for big parties. They wrote the rules and they're not about to change them. Let's compare this to the US system, which I'm not saying is perfect, of course it has flaws in its own, but we can still compare them. So in the US, you elect the president directly through state electors. The House of Representatives is proportionate based on population, and the Senate has 2 members per state. So each individual voter can influence all of these positions. Again, this is not a perfect system, but at least you can actually influence and change the government if you want. So why can't we just choose the Prime Minister directly? You can still have Parliament be voted for in a general election the same way, but have us directly influence who the Prime Minister is. Then the big parties wouldn't dominate everything, and we could actually influence who runs our country. One of the biggest problems in UK politics is generally apathy. Why is there apathy? Because we can't change anything. When you can only vote for one person from your area, you can't change anything yourself, so people don't bother caring. So what are the counter-arguments to this? Well, I rarely hear them, generally because no one actually talks about this. What people generally talk about is who will win the next election and what their policies are, but they never actually analyse if the system is fair at all. It's like a fish trying to analyse water. Here are some counter-arguments that I expect to hear. Oh, this is traditional and based on history. We can't change it. This in philosophy is called an argument from tradition, which is a logical fallacy. It's not valid at all because tradition has no relevance at all on whether something's good or bad. Human sacrifice used to be tradition. Does that mean it's good? A system is either good or bad based on its own merits, not based on tradition. Another counter-argument might be, this would cause chaos in politics and might lead to populism. Somehow it's a bad thing in a democracy for the people to be able to choose who leads their country. This is somehow bad in populism? How? So when I think about UK politics, I think, I can't choose the Prime Minister. I can't influence the House of Lords. I can't choose the King or the Queen. I can pick one member from my area. I just think, how is this democracy? And why do I even bother voting?